What's up guys, TechLab here. Now it's been a while since we've done any kind of streaming or podcasting as a channel, and I really wanted to get back into it. Since the last time we did it, which was probably about a year ago now, my son actually took all of my equipment for his own gaming needs really. So we're going to have to get some new stuff, and I thought today I'd put together a quick video to show you the kind of things that we're going to be using and also how to actually set them up. So of course, when it comes to podcasting or streaming, you need a few things. You first need a camera, and for that we've got to thank OBS Bot for sending this one across. This is the OBS Bot Tiny Light 2. They actually sent this a couple of months ago. We did a video on that in the past, so we'll link that at the end if you want to go and see a more full video onto that. This is an absolute awesome camera, and I am going to be setting it up somewhere here on this desk so that we can actually see myself this way. We do have a lot of cameras in the studio, and of course we're talking to one right now, which is usually the camera that we would have used for it, but instead we're going to be using this one. It is AI controlled, so it's going to be able to follow us around. It's really, really cool. Like I say, go check it out. We'll put a link at the end of the video. Then of course we need some other things, mostly a microphone, and for that we have to thank our new friends at Fifine, or Fifine, I'm not really sure how you actually pronounce it, for sending across their K688 to help us get started again. We're going to be taking a look at this mic today, and we're going to set it up and see what kind of sound we can get from it. And then of course we also need some kind of arm or stand for the microphone itself. Now what Fifine have actually sent across is this, the BM88. This is a low profile bracket for your microphones, and the reason I like the idea of a low profile one is because I used to have one, if you remember, that actually came up and down here, and I really don't like things in my face. It kind of distracts me from what I'm actually doing. So having a nice low profile one that we can pull from the side will hopefully make sure that the microphone is not in my face and is actually just lower so I can actually see the screen and stuff. The first thing we'll do is we'll dig into the arm. This is actually very heavy, so it's not really an indication of quality, but sometimes it actually is, and I think for boom arms like this it definitely is one. We'll just open up the box here. We get a nice little instruction manual, tells you how to put it all together, although it's pretty straightforward really. And then we'll take some of this out and we'll get some of the other components. They give us a little bag here with the actual connector on. That's going to be used to connect the microphone to the actual arm itself. Then in this little box here we get the stand for the desk. Now this is very heavy duty, and I like the handle on this one. My last one didn't have a handle like this. It was very small and it hurt your hands to kind of tie it to a desk, but as you can see, this one is nicely sponged pads. It's not going to damage the desk, and it's going to really hold this arm really well to something, even though my desks are not the best quality. Inside the bottom of the box, so we've got the arm itself all protected in some bubble wrap. This arm, like I say, is the low profile version, so it kind of comes in that kind of design. This end is going to connect to the desk hook thing, and then this side is where we're going to have to connect up the microphone. It's going to be very simple to actually build this. All we need to do is just connect this into here, and then it comes with a little Allen key slot in the side. They do provide the Allen keys that you need for this to be able to tighten up the joints and do things like that, but the one that you will need is the small one. We'll just give that a little tighten at the moment. Once it's in there, it's actually locked, so you can still turn the arm because it's got like a bearing or something inside there, so you can still turn it. It's a little bit tighter now that it's been adjusted, but that's good because we don't want it moving around. And then of course we have the other end, which is this little knuckle here. Now this is on a rotating ball, so we can actually target or point the microphone wherever we want. That is actually going to connect on the end here. But before we do that, we do need to actually undo this screw on here. I like the way that Fifine have included some very good quality screws and hooks and things like that. It's pretty nice to actually use this. It's much better than the kit that I had before. Although I'm sure once my son finds that out, he'll probably come and steal this lot too and replace it with the old stuff. That tends to be something that he will do. So I'm going to not tell him about the actual new arms and things that we've got. We'll see if he actually notices the next time he ever comes to the studio, but hopefully he won't get any kind of ideas. But basically you need to just undo this little arm. I don't want to do it too far, otherwise the ball will fall off. Slot it onto the end there, squeeze it down, and then tighten it up again. That will actually lock this arm onto the end of the rest of the arm. So it's got the knuckle on the rest of the arm. And that's pretty much all you need to do. Of course, you need to fit this to your desk, so we need to undo this bracket here, get it to the depth of your desk, and then tighten it up again, and it should look pretty good. Now, with the arm complete and pretty much built there, we will need the larger Allen key at some point to tighten up all the joints, but apart from that, that's pretty much done. The next thing we need to take a look at then is the microphone. This is, like I say, the K688, and it does have dual inputs. You can either use the USB-C, which actually goes to a USB 3 connection, or you can use the more professional XLR connection. I generally use the USB connections because I just find it easier to be able to connect things up, and I don't really have any kind of fancy XLR amps and things like that anymore. I used to when we first started the channel, we used to go through a lot of different microphones back then. At the moment, I am actually currently using a Rode mic. This is a wireless 2. I just find it better for normal videos because I'm doing a lot of moving around, and if I move, the mic actually follows me because I've got the lapel on here. These microphones are not very good for the normal types of videos that we do because once they're static, they will pick up the noise as you kind of move around if you set them up right, but they also pick up a lot of room noise as well. Now, our studio is soundproofed, but you still get a lot of echoing around and things like that because it's such a large space. So this is no good for normal videos, but it should be great for podcasting and stuff like that. Inside the box is very similar kind of setup to the arm itself. You get an instruction manual which tells you what all the different buttons do and things like that. And then underneath this little bit of sponge, we also get the microphone. Now, this is quite a large microphone, but again, it looks extremely and feels extremely good quality. It's nice. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not heavy, but you can kind of feel that it is in your hand. We have this nice sponge across the top here, which will stop certain noises going through, but hopefully picks up our voice perfectly clear. And then, of course, we've got the nice little bouncy bracket here. So if there's any kind of bumps on the desk, hopefully the mic won't move with it and the arm will actually take that shock. It also has the little screw knuckle on here, which will fit straight onto our arm, but they do also include an extra collar just in case you're not using this arm. This arm does come with a collar on its own, but you get the extra collar in case you're using a different one. And then, of course, we get a USB cable. Now, like I say, this is USB-C in the bottom of the unit itself, but it only goes to USB 3 on the other side. So be aware of that if you are going to be configuring one of these up, because you will need a spare USB 3 connection. Now, when it comes to the mic itself, it's actually got some pretty cool features here. This is where the USB-C connection would go in. This is where your XLR connection would go in. Then we have an additional microphone jack, so you can, or headset jack, sorry. So you can actually plug your headset into here if you want to, and it has a separate headset volume dial. I don't really use that functionality because I tend to use USB headphones, and that's generally what we've got at the studio. I find them easier to set up, just like the microphone itself. But we do have a gain switch there, so the microphone itself has its own kind of manual gain. That will become super important when we come to configure this, because of course we can set up what we want in Windows, we can set what we want up in OBS, but we can also adjust it manually on the microphone itself. You do also get a little mute button here, so that will mute the mic. It's a very easy way of just tapping it to mute the mic if you need to, although I tend to again do that through Windows and quick keys anyway. But that is the microphone. It feels really good quality. It actually looks fantastic, and hopefully if we can get it nice and low enough on the desk, it's not in my face, but it can still pick our sound up perfectly fine. So what we need to do now is actually hook this up to the desk, and it's really, really simple. We'll just move a few things here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure it onto the side of the desk over here. This will actually just hook round, and then you just tighten up the lock underneath. Depending on the quality of your desk, be careful when you fit the arm itself, because it's got such a big handle on it, you can get a lot of torque and you might just squish your desk. I'm pretty sure mine probably can't take much more than this, but this is a good demonstration of how low this arm actually is. I've tightened up a couple of joints here so the mic doesn't actually fall off, but this should now provide a nice low microphone down here. Hopefully it's not too long, but we can always flex it out, flex it this way, and we can of course undo this, put this up here, and we should be able to then just screw the microphone on. It does have like a triple collar situation here, so if we just remove this, you can take a look at what we've got. We've got the normal collar there, which will actually go into the microphone. So that's actually going to just go straight into the microphone part here. I think it goes this way around. That internally has another thread. And for that thread, you need this other collar, which is a bit weird. I don't know why they build it this way, but they do. So we need to just tighten this up inside the unit. So we've got the first collar in here, then we've got the second collar, which is made out of a different type of material. So I'm assuming this is also that it can actually lock down together. And then of course you've got the standard kind of camera, I suppose, threaded lock on here. This will actually just rotate your mic round. It's a little bit of awkward, to be honest, when doing this. Maybe if you just took this bracket off, it would be a little bit quicker, but we basically just spin this microphone round, and then wherever we want it adjusted, so I'm going to adjust it about there, you can then move this collar up and that will lock it into place. Very similar to installing a camera. Now I need to just adjust it so where I need it to be, and for me I'm going to be putting it here, at least for now. So at least if I just push that down to there, tighten this up again, and then move some things around, and we should be good to go. So that's not in my face too much. I can actually get away with that. If you do want to adjust this again, once you've locked this up, all you need to do is undo the actual arm or the joint with the ball in it. You can then rotate this round to wherever you want. It's just a much easier way of doing it. We also need to hook it up into USB and start some kind of application to record. For this, you just want to go into the bottom of the microphone. I'm going to trail the cable across the desk, but the arm itself underneath does have some plastic covers, so you can actually trail the cable inside the arm and it's all hidden. So I'm just going to plug it over into our little USB adapter, and then hopefully the system will pick it up. Now to test this mic, I've already set the gain up, but we don't have any filters. We're currently using OBS, so it might sound absolutely terrible. We'll hit the record button here, and hopefully you're starting to hear the sound that this microphone is giving in its raw format, really. There's no filters here. I believe it's actually pretty clear, to be honest. I did give it a little test beforehand, and it seems extremely clear to be able to pick up sound. It does say in the instructions you need to speak to the top, so that's why I've got it positioned here. If you were to position it somewhere else, the sound should start to change a little bit, and particularly if you're talking from the side, it might not work so well. But if you're talking to the top like this, which I really like because it's not a microphone in my face, which is what I really didn't like from the last arm, then I think that can get away with perfectly fine. It should be very clear, like I say, because we are very close to the microphone. It's something we can't do in normal videos because we're moving around all the time, and you would just hear different types of sounds. Particularly if I turned around like this, you're going to hear different things, which is why the lapel mic really works well for us. But this one, in a situation of either doing a podcast or something like a bit of streaming, maybe we'll do a bit of game streaming again at some point, this should be perfect. Now, of course, using OBS, we can actually go in and set some filters up and make us sound a little bit more like a professional podcast here. Pop over to our filters. I've already got some things configured. We'll just turn them on and you should start to hear the sound change. Now, that should actually sound pretty good. It's roughly in an area which I like, and of course your microphone sound is very down to your own personal preferences, as long as people can hear you clearly and you like the sound that's coming from it. My voice is generally a little bit higher than I would like, so as part of my filters I actually add a little bit of lows, lower the mids, then we add a bunch of filters for compression and equalization and stuff like that. So hopefully this actually sounds pretty good. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments if this does sound good or not, but so far I'm super impressed with this setup, and I really want to thank Fifine for actually sending it across to us. They're really going to help us get into more podcasting and more streaming, and that's absolutely fantastic. We'll definitely drop their name a little bit on some of the videos that we do. Hopefully this still sounds great to you. I'm sure by now I haven't switched back over to the other mic. I'm sure we're getting away with using this properly, but apart from that, it's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to actually get it permanently set up on this desk. So if you guys want to make sure that you catch any kind of live podcasts that we do or any kind of live streams, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to let me know in the comments below what you think of this microphone setup. Do you have a Fifine setup like this, or do you have a different brand? What did you think of the Fifine stuff if you have one? Because I actually think they're really good for the prices that you pay. My old microphone was actually a Fifine one, but it was a little bit cheaper than this one. This is a nice model. This one is not too expensive, just like most of their products, and I think a lot of people actually really do enjoy them. But apart from that, you will catch us doing some more live stuff now going forward once I've got this fully hooked up and we've got the wiring set up and not hanging all over the desk. So I suppose I will see you guys in the next one.